Good Monday morning to you. It's Daybreak at iFiber One News Radio. I'm Jeff Slakey, and I got a great guest in studio with me here this morning, 35th District Representative Drew MacEwen. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I am well, and it's good to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
We got some good news coming out of your office here late last week. I've been selected to serve as co-chair and executive member of the Joint Committee on Veterans and Military Affairs. Pretty cool deal.
Yes, I'm honored by it, yes.
You have been on this since 13, and also you have spent time in the Navy and Armed Services. So what is the Joint Committee on Veterans and Military Affairs? What are you going to be looking at?
Yeah, so this committee's been around for quite some time. It's a joint committee, Senate and House together, and pretty bipartisan. And it's obviously we don't have oversight of our military forces, so a lot of it is veteran driven. But we also, what can we look at that to help support the overall mission of our armed forces? And so I'm looking forward to maybe taking this committee though in a little bit different track where. Putting a little more focus on what we can be doing as a state to help infrastructure-wise support our bases, and frankly to make our bases BRAC-proof. That's the Base Realignment and Closure Commission that meets occasionally. I think the last time was in 2005, and they were supposed to in 2015, but ended up not doing that. And I'm not suggesting that we right now have any type of threat of one of our installations being closed down, but it's always easier to be proactive.
Yeah.
And, we've got a lot of issues, especially on the Navy side, and some infrastructure challenges in the Kitsap Peninsula. And just want to make sure that we're proactive and meeting the needs of the mission. So, again, we can make those installations BRAC-proof, and that's going to be one of my focuses going forward here.
I remember in 2005, I feel like for whatever reason, even though well, maybe even back then it was just not even the joint base yet, but there was some talk that maybe there was some thoughts of shutdowns around here. That was many years, 12 years ago, but
yes,
it's such a hub. We're here, we see it every day, and it's hard to think that there's not a better kept or more ready to go military base than Fort Lewis or JBLM now.
Right, yeah, and we're putting a lot of money there with the I-5 corridor. That was in the transportation package, which is making some significant improvements, and that was one of the things that was identified, I believe, in that BRAC report in 2005. So that we're moving forward on, and this committee and the state legislature in general has put more focus on the JBLM side, and rightfully so to a certain degree. But I think we have, I wouldn't say neglected, but we've overlooked, I think, a lot of the concerns of the Navy and the Coast Guard. And so again, that's going to be one of the focuses that I'm going to try to bring back into the committee structure, and making sure that we're looking at all of our armed forces and all of our installations appropriately. And so I'm actually going to be meeting with the Navy next week and discussing some of these things, some of our needs, and then the committee meeting that I'll be chairing at the end of November. I'm bringing in the Navy and the Coast Guard, and just having that conversation as to what's going right, what can we help with, and just making sure that we're all on the same page and hitting on all cylinders.
It's a key strategic location there, the Navy port there in Bremerton, access to the South Sound and everything like that. Washington is key in there, and not only in that defense of our country on the Pacific coast here, but also Washington just in general being quite a good military leader. You were just in Virginia for the coronation of the commissioning. I knew I was going to get that wrong. Of the USS Washington,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's our latest fast attack sub. It's a Virginia-class submarine, and I was honored to be there. I was with Secretary of State Kim Wyman and Lieutenant Governor Cyrus Habib. We represented our state there as elected officials, and yeah, fantastic to see. And being a submariner myself, it's incredible to see the technology that has changed, and a lot of things are still the same, but a lot has changed. And this submarine, this crew are incredible. That was a well-built sub, and I've gotten to know some of the crew over the past couple of years as it's gone through this process leading up to the commissioning, and it was a great event to be there, and they're going to represent our state well and carrying our name.
You had a lot of work as they were working on that sub. Did people come and talk with you a little bit about that?
We did, yeah. We did some meetings. I was on the commissioning committee. I was an honorary co-chair, and which as was Kim Wyman, and our role really was more to increase publicity around it, and there's actually a scholarship fund through the Submarine League that we help bring some focus to, and so money's raised in that, and a scholarship is used each year for a member of the crew, and so we were in that honorary role, and again, just to help bring good PR to it, and I was just happy to be part of that, and it's amazing though to go back. I mean, I got out of the Navy in '98, and to be part of this process right now, and it's 20 years later, and to think, my God, we were really that young at one time. So it's a little humbling too.
See the men and women that are running those things, and
yes,
that was me.
Yeah.
20 years ago. Very cool. Well, it is the end of October, so before too long, we'll get you in for legislative updates and conversations about the legislature. We got a big race for the Senate side with potential power of balance there. What do you think on that race?
That race is going to be a lot tighter, I think, than it will be a lot tighter than what the primary was. And boy, it's going to have implications, you know. And if the Democrats win it, they will control the Senate here for this next session. And if Republicans, if we win, it'll be the status quo in terms of the power sharing that's in Olympia. And so it's got big ramifications. It will have an impact one way or the other on the Hirst decision, the capital budget, and we'll see. We'll see going forward. And
any movement on either of those two? Hirst talks behind the scenes.
There's been negotiations that have been going on, and I think now at this point, with that election being 2 weeks out, I think everybody's just in a holding pattern and let that shake out. And should the Democrats prevail, I think their intent, from what I hear through the grapevine, is to probably go into special session after that election is certified, because she would be seated right away and address those two issues. That's the rumor mill.
Before the next session, even.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, in the capital budget, it is crucial. There are a number of projects that are in a critical hold pattern, and so there's some justification to that, and we might do that regardless of who wins that race, if we can get to an agreement on those issues. And I hope we do. We need to, and it wouldn't be any kind of lengthy session. I mean, it would literally be a couple of days. Those agreements, the capital budget is done. It just needs to be voted, as well as the bond to support it. But the bigger part of that is that Hirst issue, which is important for rural areas like this.
Has there been any further conversations on what is requested by the mostly rural counties like ours here in Mason, and the legislators on the eastern side too, what they're looking for? Has there been any?
I really just some certainty that you can drill a well. Sure. And one of the agreements that was in place, and again, not to rehash everything that happened in the wee hours of June 30th and July 1st, but there was a framework for an agreement that essentially, in a nutshell, a county could permit the well, and the landowner would pay a mitigation fee that would be roughly $1,000, and that money would go into a pot that would then mitigate water flow issues in critical areas within our state. I support that as a property owner. I mean, am I crazy about paying that money? No, but for the certainty that you've got water rights indefinitely, absolutely. So, I think that was a fair compromise. I hope that we have something along those lines, coming forward. So, but we'll see. A lot's going to hinge here on the next 2 weeks.
Election. Very good. All right. Well, Drew, it was nice seeing you. And again, we'll start ramping up those legislative sessions when they come to fruition here. We'll get you on the air weekly, as we have. And that's been always a good conversations and good way to give back to the constituents.
Absolutely.
Good to see you.
Likewise. Thank you.